What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of MUT Tips. I'm your host, Sean Taylor from the Made Up Theater. And before we jump in, make sure to like the video down below, comment what somebody would like addressed in a future video, and as always, subscribe on YouTube down below to be informed of upcoming videos and live streams. Ring that bell. But let's jump into today's topic, jump into the middle. I talked about this briefly in episode 10 of MUT Tips, which was all about starting an improvised scene, and I want to touch on it more. The example I gave about starting in the middle is, hey, if you got the suggestion of mountain climbing, instead of starting at the base of the mountain where you're like, oh, hey, Jim, we're about to climb this mountain. We got all the tools. We all ready to go. Where it's kind of the start of the journey, maybe start like halfway up the mountain. Because at that point, the stakes are almost raised a bit. It's more intense because now you're in the middle of something happening. You can have a scene where one of you is hanging and just realizing, hey, you got fear of heights at that elevation. Or maybe you realize about 4,000 feet up, you're like, oh crap, we forgot the flag that we're gonna put on the top of the summit. Or maybe, hey, it's a couple, a romantic couple trying to reignite their love, but they realize as they're climbing that maybe they're not meant for each other. That's jumping into the middle of a moment. But to clarify, if you did get a suggestion like mountain climbing, it doesn't mean you have to actually start in the middle of the activity, any of the circumstances that I just provided. You could start a scene about mountain climbing at the base of the mountain, but it's all about jumping into the middle of something. And more often than not, the thing you need the most is essentially your base reality, your given circumstances, the platform, the foundation of the scene. So make sure at the top of a scene, you know who you are to each other, your relationship. You also, you know what you're doing. So it could be just preparing, getting your supplies ready as you're about to climb, the tallest mountain in the world. And also where you are, specifics can help too. Like, is it Everest? Is it Fiji? There's a lot of things that you can solve within the first few lines that will help you jump into the middle of some type of a moment. So if the scene feels like it's starting right at the beginning of some type of activity, don't deny it, Your partner might come out, based on the suggestion of mountain climbing, and start the scene at the base of the mountain, being like, hey, Jim, you got the supplies? Oh, man, I'm so pumped to go up there. And you don't want to deny that offer and be like, what are you talking about? We're already climbing. Because, you're jumping to the middle of the activity, but you've also just denied something, right? Take that in. You can still jump into the middle of a moment at the base of the mountain. And let's get into how you can. So let's imagine your scene partner starts with a line that feels like, it's at the beginning of a scene, right? At the base of a mountain. They come out and they say, oh, man, Jim, that's a big mountain. We got to make sure we have all the supplies we need before we start climbing. And you can respond to that with an offer that can bring it to the middle of something rather than rushing to get up the mountain. So a good way to do that is to notice something, okay? Noticing things around us in the environment is really impactful. So notice something about the environment. An example of that would be in response to that first line would be like, don't worry, I think we'll be okay. We got everything. Hey, what the hell? The Jameson's already halfway up the mountain. What the hell? I thought you said the race started at 1 p.m. And that's a line now that raises the stakes and makes what's happening right now more important, right? It brought it to the middle of a moment, middle of a mistake. My scene partner, the mistake can be implied that, they thought it was 1 p.m. start time, but now it's 1 a.m. So they're behind on the race. And now we're in the middle of an emotional thing happening right now because of noticing something, again, about the environment. We're not in a blank void. Things are happening around us, baby. We got to take advantage of the environment that we're creating, the imagination that we have, and the things that we can see that we need to bring to life. And you don't just have to notice something about the environment, notice something about your scene partner, okay? Because your partner is the most important person in the world in a scene, and they can very easily help you get to the middle of something. So maybe they say that exact same line, all right, man, I'm really nervous, we gotta get to the top, gotta make sure we have all the supplies. And respond to that could be like, I'm totally ready. What the hell? You're wearing a V-neck? We're about to climb Everest. What's the matter with you? And that's bringing it to the middle of something. We've noticed something about our scene partner that they have, come unprepared. They're wearing a V-neck, and their response can range. Like maybe they're doing it because, they want to look fashionable when they get to the top and take that nice glory shot that they can post on Instagram, or, maybe they're doing it as like a challenge. They don't need all of that luxurious equipment that can help keep them warm. They're going to go up, with just a V-neck. That's something that's impactful because, again, it brought out that emotion. Emotion is key key to bringing you to the middle of something, okay? Because thinking about like a fight, that you have with somebody, more often than not, a fight is the middle of something happening, okay? It's build up to that. You don't just get angry and fight with somebody because of just some random thing they said with no context from the past. No, it builds up, You get more irritated, and then they say something and it kind of snaps because it was the middle of an emotional buildup that led to this explosion, So emotions is just key. An emotional reaction gives context for something that happened in the past. And since there's past, then we're in the middle of something. An easy way to bring your scene to the middle is with the phrase, you look, If you say you look and say like, you look happy or you look anxious, like those are cool lines because it's giving your partner a gift. They now have almost a newly developed point of view that they can latch onto. And now they get to provide context for why they might be happy or anxious to climb this big ass mountain. And last but not least is notice something about yourself. I always tell people this. At the top of an improv scene, I know we're all about giving gifts to each other, but I think it's really important in improv and in life, in my opinion, give a gift to yourself, Like appreciate yourself and give yourself something to work with rather than hope that somebody will give you something to work with. So giving yourself just a character trait, a personality quirk, an emotional point of view. Like if you give that to yourself at the top of the scene, then you have information so you know how to interact in the scene. So notice something about yourself, It might be just like, again, like we did, you look, how about I feel? You can say that type of a line. Like, that person gives that line, they're like, I feel, it doesn't even have to be an actual word. Like show the emotion, like I feel jittery, And suddenly, wow, we have emotional context, and now the scene becomes about like overcoming the jitters to get up that mountain. And I think that's way more interesting than just seeing two people climb a mountain. We got to deal with what seems like it's the beginning of a moment. No, this is the moment, the moment this person overcomes their jitters to climb the mountain. So yeah, notice something about yourself, whether it's an emotion or just like, a physicality quirk. Like you might notice that you're going like this a lot during the beginning of a scene. That can be very helpful. Like, I want to climb that mountain. I just want to feel the snow in my fingers. I'm stoked. That's context. That's something that is going to help progress the scene and heighten it because you came in with something rather than nothing. You started in the middle. And that concludes this episode of MUT Tips, everybody. Thank you so much for checking it out. I really appreciate it. Again, like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll check you out next time for another episode of MUT Tips. Bye.